Hello and welcome back to Unique Coins Value the Home for numismatists and treasure hunters alike. I'm Hostname, and today we are giving one coin the full deep dive treatment. This humble fellow, the 1976 Lincoln Memorial 1-cent piece. Now, the immediate question everyone has is, what's it worth? And the honest, brutal truth for most 1976 pennies is 1 cent. The U.S. Mint produced over 4.6 billion pennies in 1976 across 3 mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. They are absolutely everywhere. But, and this is a huge but, within that massive number are fascinating varieties, errors, and condition rarities that command serious premiums. So, let's start with the basics before we get to the good stuff. 1976 was no ordinary year. It was the 200th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, and the whole country was in a patriotic frenzy. The U.S. Mint got in on the action by releasing special bicentennial designs for the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar coin. These featured revolutionary drums, Independence Hall, and Liberty Bells. Many new collectors are surprised to learn that the penny did not get a special bicentennial reverse design. It kept the Lincoln Memorial design created by Frank Gasparo that was introduced in 1959, replacing the wheat ears reverse.
Why?
There's no official reason, but it's likely because Lincoln himself wasn't a figure from the 1776 era. Changing a coin that bears a beloved president's portrait might have also been seen as too drastic. So, while everyone was excited about the new quarters, the penny just kept on doing its thing, unchanged. Obverse, heads ***, the timeless Victor David Brenner portrait of Abraham Lincoln. The motto "In God We Trust" is above him, Liberty is to the left, and the date, 1976, is to the right. Reverse, tails ***, the Lincoln Memorial. United States of America, arcs over the top, E pluribus unum, is just below that, and 1 cent is at the bottom. Edge ***, it's plain, not reeded. Composition ***, this is important. In 1976, pennies were still made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This gives them that classic, heavy, reddish-brown look and feel. They weigh 3.11 grams. This changed in 1982 to a zinc core with a copper plating. The S Mint penny was not released into circulation. It was only available in special proof sets and mint sets sold directly to collectors. So, if you find a 1976 S penny in your change, someone spent a collection piece. While it's not ultra-rare, it's certainly less common than its Philadelphia and Denver brothers. Alright, let's talk money. For a regular 1976 penny from Philadelphia or Denver in circulated condition, that means it's been in pockets, jars, and parking lots, it's worth exactly 1 cent. Its melt value, because it's mostly copper, is actually about 2 to 3 cents, but melting down U.S. coins is illegal. So, as a coin, face value, the value starts to climb with condition. A nice, uncirculated 1976 D penny with its original red luster might fetch 25 to 50 cents. Still not life-changing, but a 5,000% return on investment isn't bad. The real value for regular strikes comes in high grades slabbed by services like PCGS or NGC. A perfect MS67 red 1976 D penny can sell for over $100. But finding one that high quality is like finding a needle in a haystack. Now, the 1976 S-proof coin is a different beast. It was struck on specially polished planchets with polished dies to create a mirror-like background and frosted design. These are beautiful coins. A standard proof in its original capsule is worth about $1 to $3. But again, in high grades, the value can jump to $50 or even over $100. Okay, you've waited patiently. This is the good stuff. These are the errors that make the 1976 penny a potential jackpot. You need to be looking for these. This is the holy grail for this year. A double die occurs when the hub imprints the design onto the working die misaligned, creating a distinct doubling effect in the design. For 1976, look for clear doubling on the letters of Liberty and the date, 1976. It's most prominent on the 76. A confirmed 1976 DDO, even in lower grades, can be worth $150 to $800 depending on the severity and grade. There are a few known varieties, so if you see doubling, get it certified. Much rarer than the obverse double die. This would show doubling on the lettering on the reverse, like States of America or 1 cent. A genuine example would be a significant find worth several $100s. This is a broad error category. This happens when the coin blank isn't struck in the collar properly. The value depends on how far off-center it is. A 5% off-center might be worth $5. A 50% off-center strike could be worth $50 or more. The more dramatic, the better. Similar to off-center, but the coin is struck without the restraining collar, causing it to spread out like a pancake. It'll be larger than a normal penny and have no ridge on the edge. These are cool errors and have a decent premium. Look closely at the mint mark. Sometimes, the mint mark was punched into the die more than once and not perfectly aligned. You might see a slight doubling or shadow around the D or S. These are popular with variety collectors and can add $10 to $50 to the value, so how do you find these? Grab a handful of pennies from your change jar or even go to the bank and get a $25 box of pennies to search through. You'll need two essential tools, a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, and a bright light. Examine every single coin carefully, especially the date, Liberty, and the mint mark. Be patient. It's called coin rolling for a reason. If you think you found something, especially a double die, don't clean it. Cleaning destroys the surface and the value. Place it in a protective holder and do your research. Compare it to photos on variety websites like Variety Vista or the Kanika website. If you're still convinced, consider submitting it to a grading service for authentication. It's the only way to be sure and to maximize its value if you plan to sell. The 1976 penny is a testament to the idea that rarity isn't always about the year. It's about the specific circumstances of its creation. It's a piece of history, minted during an incredible year of national celebration. While most are common, the hunt for the rare errors makes numismatics so exciting. It transforms a simple act of checking your change into a potential discovery. Today, we're tackling a coin so common, you've probably walked past hundreds of them on the sidewalk. It's the humble 1980 Lincoln Memorial Penny. After the mega rarity of the 1909 SVDB or the 1955 double die, is there any reason to get excited about a penny from 1980? Could a handful of these copper discs actually be worth more than, well, 1 cent? Stick around, because the answer is a fascinating mix of, usually not, but with a few spectacular exceptions that could make you a fortune. We're talking about mint errors, rare varieties, and the simple, beautiful economics of bulk copper. First, let's set the stage. The year is 1980. Ronald Reagan is about to be elected president, The Empire Strikes Back is in theaters, and the U.S. Mint is producing pennies at an absolute fever pitch. The mint facilities in Philadelphia and Denver were working overtime. In 1980 alone, they produced 414, 705, 000 pennies in Philadelphia. That's 7.4 billion with AB. They have no mint mark. 0.5, 140, 098, 660 pennies in Denver. That's another 5.1 billion. These have a small D mint mark. Add those together, and you get over 12.5 billion pennies. That is an almost unimaginable number. It means that even today, over 40 years later, the 1980 penny is incredibly common. If you have a jar of random pennies, there's a very good chance you'll find a few 1980s in there. So, for a standard worn, circulated 1980 penny with no mint mark or a D, the value is, I'm sorry to say, 1 cent. It's a piece of history, but it's not a rare piece of history. But don't click away. This is where the story gets interesting. In 1982, the U.S. Mint switched from making pennies mostly out of copper to making them mostly out of zinc with a thin copper plating. But in 1980, pennies were still struck on planchets, or blanks, made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. That little coin has a melt value. As of recording this video, the value of that raw copper is worth significantly more than 1 cent. We're talking about 2 to 3 cents per penny in just metal content. Now, a quick and very important disclaimer. It is currently illegal to melt down U.S. pennies and nickels for their metal content. The U.S. government prohibits it to avoid taking these coins out of circulation entirely and causing a coin shortage. However, this melt value sets a theoretical floor for the coin's value to collectors and metal hoarders. People will still buy these old copper pennies in bulk for their intrinsic value, hoping that the law may change one day or simply as a hedge against inflation. So, while you can't legally melt it, a roll of 50 pre-1982 copper pennies might sell for $1 to $1.50 to the right buyer. Not a fortune, but a 100% to 200% profit on face value. Okay, so the common ones are common. But what about condition? This is Numismatics 101. A coin's state of preservation is everything. Let's take a look at this progression. Here's a heavily worn one. It's worth 1 cent. This one has some light wear, but sharp details. Maybe a few cents. But look at this one. Extreme macro close-up on a brilliant, uncirculated penny. The red luster shines under the light. This is a 1980 penny that has never been circulated. It was saved straight from a mint roll or bag. It has its original luster, no scratches, no wear. This is where a common coin becomes less common. For a 1980p penny in mint state, MS, condition, values start to creep up. An MS 63 red, meaning brilliant and mostly blemish-free, might fetch $1-$2. A gorgeous MS 65 red, a real gem, could be worth $5-$10. And if you have a perfect specimen, graded MS 67 red or higher, you could be looking at a coin worth $50 to over $100. The same goes for the 1980 D. High-grade, uncirculated examples command a premium. So, if you find a 1980 penny that looks like it just left the mint yesterday, don't spend it. Put it in a protective holder. Now, we get to the main event. The reason you should absolutely check every single 1980 penny you find. Errors and varieties. With billions of coins struck, the mint machines were running fast, and mistakes happened. Some of these mistakes are incredibly valuable. The holy grail for the 1980 penny is the 1980 no-S proof penny proof coins are specially made for collectors with polished dies and frosted designs. They were struck at the San Francisco Mint and should have a small S mint mark. But a very small number was struck without that S mint mark. It is believed only a handful of these errors exist. If you somehow find one of these, you have a coin that can be worth over $10,000. Let me say that again. A penny that could be worth $10,000. It is exceptionally rare, but it's out there. Other errors to look for: double dies ***, look for doubling in the lettering like Liberty or In God We Trust. A 1980 double die, while not as famous as the 1955, would still be a huge find. Off-center strikes ***, a coin that was struck misaligned, showing a blank crescent of the planchet. The value depends on how off-center it is. A 10% off-center might be $10. A 50% off-center could be $50 or more. Broad strikes ***, the coin was struck without the restraining collar, so it's spread out and larger than a normal penny. So, let's do a quick recap on the 1980 Lincoln circulated and common *** worth 1 cent. Spend it or save it for its copper content. Uncirculated and beautiful *** worth $1 to $100 plus, depending on its grade. Save it. A major error or variety *** could be worth $10 to $10,000 plus. Bulk copper hoard * 50 plus coins can be sold for a premium over face value. The 1980 penny teaches us a great lesson in coin collecting. Even the most common dates can have hidden value. It's not about the date alone, it's about the condition, the mint mark, and the unique story of that specific coin. I want to hear from you. Have you ever found a rare error coin? Do you have a jar of old copper pennies sitting in your closet? Let me know in the comments below. It's the 1961 Lincoln cent, but wait. Before you dismiss it as just another penny, could one of these be sitting in a jar in your attic, waiting to be a small treasure? Is there a rare 1961 penny error worth thousands? We're going to break down everything you need to know, the history, the different varieties, the key errors, and most importantly, what that 1961 penny in your collection is actually worth today. To understand the 1961 penny, we have to step into a time machine. 1961 was a fascinating year. John F. Kennedy was inaugurated. The Cold War was heating up. And in the world of coins, the U.S. Mint was in a period of quiet consistency. The Lincoln Wheat Cent, a classic design that had been around since 1909, had just been retired a few years prior in 1959. It was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Cent, designed by Frank Gasparo, which we're still familiar with today. So by 1961, the Memorial Reverse was still a relatively new look for Americans. This means that every single 1961 penny you find will have the Lincoln Memorial on the back. So if you find a 1961 wheat penny, I'm sorry to say, it's a fake. They didn't make them that year. Now, the first thing any collector looks at is the mint mark. This little letter tells us where the coin was made, and it's the biggest factor in its circulated value. For 1961, pennies were struck at 2 mints Philadelphia Mint ***, no mint mark. This was the workhorse, producing the vast majority of pennies for circulation. Denver Mint *** features a small D mint mark, and the mintage numbers are key. The Philadelphia Mint struck a whopping 1.7 billion pennies that year. That's 1,753,345,600 to be exact. The Denver Mint, while still prolific, struck significantly fewer. 1.7 billion? No, wait, actually, 1.6 billion? Hold on. This is a classic trick question. Actually, in 1961, the Denver Mint outproduced Philadelphia for the only time in the entire Lincoln Memorial Series. Here are the real numbers. 1961, no mint mark. Philadelphia ***, 1,753,345,600. 1961. D. Denver ***, 1,753,266,700. That's right. Denver made about 80,000 fewer pennies, but for all practical purposes, they are essentially equal in terms of mintage. Both numbers are astronomically high. This means both coins are exceptionally common in circulated condition. Alright, let's get to the question you all clicked for: what's it worth? Let's talk about coins that have been in circulation, the ones you find in change, in old drawers, or in that big jar you've been saving. For both the 1961 and the 1961 D penny, if it's worn, has scratches, is dark brown, or has lost its original luster, its value is primarily based on its copper content. Since these are 95% copper coins, they are worth significantly more than their 1 cent face value. But we're still talking about small change. As of recording, the copper value alone for a pre-1982 penny is about 2 to 3 cents. Now, if you have a coin that is in nicer, but still circulated condition, let's say it has most of its details sharp, maybe some light wear on the highest points of Lincoln's hair and coat, you might be looking at a premium. So, for the vast majority of circulated 1961 pennies, you are not looking at a retirement fund. You're looking at a common piece of history worth a few cents. The real value for collectors comes in 2 forms: condition and errors. This is where it gets more interesting. A 1961 penny that was saved in a coin roll or by a collector and never entered circulation is a different beast. It retains its original mint luster, that beautiful reddish-orange, shiny surface in mint state grades. The value climbs. A typical MS-60 to MS-63, that's mint state with some bag marks or imperfections, might only be worth $1 to $5. But as the grade increases, so does the value and the challenge of finding it. Coins graded MS-65 and higher are considered premium quality. A 1961 or 1961 D penny graded MS-65 read by PCGS or NGC can easily bring $15 to $35. And if you have a true gem, like an MS-67 red, that's a coin that could be worth $500 or more. The key term there is red. Brown, BN, and red-brown, RB, coins are worth less. The full, original red color is what collectors prize most. Now, let's talk about the reason you should always check your 1961 pennies. The errors. While no major double dies exist for 1961 like the famous 1955, there are still some intriguing and valuable mistakes to look for. This is when the coin blank isn't struck correctly in the collar. The value depends on how far off it is. A 5% off-center might be worth $10 to $20. A 50% off-center could be worth $100 or more. Next, broad strikes. This is when the coin expands outside of the retaining collar because the collar was malfunctioning. It creates a coin that is flatter and wider than normal. These can be worth $20 to $50. You can also find die cracks, cuds, lumps of metal from a broken die, and repunched mint marks, RPMs, where the D was punched into the die more than once, creating a slightly doubled effect. A prominent 1961 D RPM could be a $50 plus coin. But the king of 1961 errors? The 1961 proof Lincoln sent. While not a circulation strike, it's worth mentioning. Proofs were made for collectors in Philadelphia and have a mirror-like finish. A common proof is worth $5 to $10. But there's a rare variant, those struck on brass-faced steel planchets intended for foreign coins. These errors are extremely rare and can be worth thousands of dollars. So, how do you check your coins? First, get a good magnifying glass or loupe, at least 5x power. Second, have a good light source. Look closely at the date, the mint mark, and the surfaces for any of the anomalies we talked about. So, to wrap it all up, your average circulated 1961 penny is worth a few cents for its copper. Its true value to a collector is its historical charm, a snapshot from the early 1960s. However, if you find one in brilliant, uncirculated condition, or better yet, with a striking error, you could have a genuinely valuable coin on your hands. The hunt is what makes this hobby so fun. You never know what you might find. So next time you get a penny in change, take a quick glance. You might just be holding a small piece of history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please hit that like button and subscribe and ring the bell for more content just like this. Now I want to hear from you. Asterisk asterisk, do you have a jar of old pennies? Have you ever found a cool era coin? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want us to explore another coin, leave a comment with your suggestion for a future video. Until next time, happy hunting!